This episode brought to you by the following patrons: Heather, Min, Jason, Madeline, Alyssa, Laura, Jeremy with the laser eyes, Allie, Kristen, and Tia. And all the patrons want you to know you're loved, you're listened to, and you're a valuable member of this awesome Horror Virgin community. And if you want to hang out with us, do so in the Facebook group where we'll be talking about Black Phone daily, at least this week.
Man, the Winter Olympics were weird this year.
This is the real Miracle on Ice page.
Or Under the Ice. Thank you for tuning into Horror Virgin. I'm Paige.
And I'm your Horror Virgin Todd, which means I don't like scary movies, but you guys make me watch them. And this week, Paige made us watch The Black Phone 2. So, Paige, this recently came to streaming. I don't know if you saw it in theaters, but when was the first time you saw it?
Today.
Yeah, me too.
I waited. In preparation for this, kind of as this movie was coming out, and as we were thinking about when we would do it, a lot of people compared this to Nightmare on Elm Street. And that's not entirely wrong.
I was about to say, because I love when this movie goes Dream Warriors. Like, that was my favorite part.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's wrong. I think that is the closest comparison as far as, like, what is happening, I guess.
There's a little Friday the 13th in there, too.
Little bit.
Which is nice. It's nice to see one of the winter Friday the 13ths recognized. Do you know what I'm saying?
As someone who attended many a winter church camp, I have thoughts, but more along the lines of, I think comparing this to Nightmare on Elm Street makes it seem like it would be goofy, and it really isn't. I do feel like the way that they bring the grabber back is consistent with the way the first movie worked, where it's like, everyone can talk to you. Like, you don't get to choose if they're good or bad.
Yeah.
And I also think this really kind of brilliantly sets up for a franchise.
I was thinking that.
In which not every movie would be the same.
But I do want it to be just a gradually aging,
Yes.
Finn and Gwen.
Yes.
Who are like body finders.
Yes.
I don't know. That's probably a job, but I don't know what it's called. Like when the police are trying to locate.
Like cold case detectives.
Yeah, cold cases. Yeah, like kind of that.
Yeah.
But they specialize in like finding the bodies.
But specifically this guy's.
Yeah. Well, if you set him up like he was an Israel Keys kind of guy.
Right.
Who like was one of the scariest serial killers I've ever read about.
Right.
And would kill all over the country kind of thing.
Right.
Like, I would love to see just them solving one of those cases. I would love it. Every movie. Give me 9 of those movies.
That's what they have set up because, like, we know when the basement grabber happened because that was first movie, right?
Right. And he dies. And this movie, I think, like you said, is very consistent with what the first movie showed.
Right.
But, like, it's a really fun way to keep the grabber as the bad guy throughout the franchise.
Right. But it starts at least 30 years in the past. Or almost 30 years, I should say.
Yeah, it's like 52 or something. I can't remember. It's something like that.
I have it in my notes. When we get through it, we'll get through
Yeah.
it. 57 to 82.
82, that's right. Yeah.
So 25 years.
Yeah, it's 25 years. Yeah.
But that's a serial killer isn't going to take breaks, which means that, like, we have any number of locations and places and types of crime in those 25 years for them to find. And like, we know the grabber was working for like 5 or 6 years in North Denver because like the mom died and the dad had been drinking for a few years. So like there's 15 years in the middle where they can go looking for stuff.
Yeah.
But this is exactly what I mean about creating a blueprint for a franchise that is not the same every time. Where I think The Conjuring, even though the last couple movies have not been as great, it set this up as well, where each thing is a different case and Ed and Lorraine are the through line.
Right.
But like each movie is different and the like plots are different, right? This movie set up something very similar because like, even though, yes, we are still finding dead kids, it's a whole different case. It's got whole different people and you could do that every time.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of fucking here for the Black Phone universe. Like, this is not a perfect movie. You could definitely shave some time out of it. There are some things that don't work as well as others, but I was never bored. I was interested in the new story that still, for me, fits into the way the first one worked, even though I think the first one left it ambiguous as to like, is this really supernatural or is this him processing the trauma?
Right.
I think this one definitely leans supernatural, but not in a way that seems to unravel anything. Like, it still seems rooted in their personal trauma to a degree.
Yeah, well, and their abilities.
Yeah,
that they clearly got from their mom, because their dad, even though I think their dad ultimately is a good guy who's like really trying. He's had a hard 7 years.
He didn't hit anybody in this one, at least.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he's not drinking anymore. We see him make the choice, which I really like.
Right.
But like, I don't know. They didn't get the powers from him, is all I'm saying.
No.
He's not that guy, you know? Their mom was the special one.
It's the mom. And I also even like that, like, part of the complaint people have about Ed and Lorraine, and it is a very, very valid one, is that...
For the record, the older couple in this who were the office people,
Yes.
I called them Ed and Lorraine in my notes, because that's like who they would accurately be to history. Not those movies, but to history.
Yes. They are Ken and Barbie in the script.
Yeah.
And I thought that was also very funny. Just this idea of like, the idea that they are perfect to the outside.
Yes.
And hiding the bad things. Great.
Yeah.
Well, extremely well done. Ethan Hawke, I think, has gotten slightly more religious as he's gotten older, and his last few pet projects have been examining religion, I think, in very different ways. And I'm kind of here for it, because it's always in the sense of like, if you believe this, you should be doing good things for people. And I'm like, I can vibe, man.
I was going to say, it doesn't necessarily show them in a good light, though.
No.
So, like, even if he is getting more religious in his, like, older life, he is, I would say, kind of calling out some of the behavior that, you know,
Here
we
for it.
see, and they definitely saw during the first Satanic Panic,
Right.
which was definitely starting around 82.
Yes.
And now we're in the second one currently.
Absolutely. And I fully agree with you, and I'm fully here for it.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that this movie does, that it kind of did in the last one, but a lot more in this one, is to center the sister's faith in truly a personal relationship with something beyond herself, as opposed to any organized version,
Right.
if that makes sense.
It's much more witchcraft.
It is kind of witchcraft.
It's more like what it is to her and what it means to her. Like, she realizes that she has control in the dream.
Right.
After she's gotten her ass kicked a few times.
Right.
So I think that shows more witchcraft than like structured actual religion, like theology or whatever.
I would think of it as, and this is probably the way her mom thought of it as, Jesus is the name she has for the intuition she has.
Right. Yeah. And if you grew up in that box,
Exactly.
that's like the language you use to talk about this true, like the thing they reframe at the end as a gift. And I do think it is a gift, you know?
Right. And a thing that there is no explanation for.
Yes.
Right. And
Yeah.
so you are framing it within whatever framework you have to frame it, but it is just a nebulous gift of intuition, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can just read, you know, the Prime Radiant and you can like figure out psychohistory or whatever. It's like the same stuff.
Yeah, whatever, however you choose to frame it.
Paige, I have really loved that this was just like a very serious Friday the 13th movie, but the very serious makes sense if you think about it. Like, it's dark all the time. They have seasonal affective disorder. So it's like, it's just a serious look at Friday the
So
13th because it was
depressed.
one of the winter ones.
Oh, man.
I actually did kind of like this movie a lot.
I liked it a lot.
The parts I didn't are where they like took parts of my childhood.
Sure.
And then made those like the creepiest things ever. Like phone calls became like ghost premonitions or whatever, which like I knew was going to happen because the first one.
Yeah.
But like camp becomes like a frozen purgatorial church retreat. And like that sucks. Like I preferred my version to camp when I was a kid.
I mean, I did summer and winter camp as a kid. And so I have lived the winter version of Jesus camp at least twice that I can think of. But here's the thing that I was struck by. I was like sitting here watching this, remembering being at winter church camp. And I was like, did we have heaters in the cabins? And I could not remember. And I was like, we must have, or else we'd be dead, right?
We didn't, because I didn't go to camp during the winter. Like, that doesn't seem like the right kind of camp time.
It's pretty fun.
Because, you know, summer, you have like more time in the summer than you would like on a winter break. But maybe because there's honestly way more to do in Colorado in the winter than there is in Nashville in the winter.
Fair.
So they might do those camps up there. I have no idea. But I certainly don't associate camp with winter time.
So summer camp is like a week, right?
Yeah, you're a whole week there. Yeah.
A whole week. Winter camp is like a weekend, like a long weekend, where it was usually either like the beginning or end of what your winter break would be at school, or just a weekend where you would take like a Friday and then go. But we all went in California because contrary to popular belief, it does snow in parts of California.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
anywhere like sort of San Francisco and north of it, which is like almost half the state.
Or anytime you go up into the mountains. So either
True, yeah.
Yeah, it's like either like San Francisco and north, or Los Angeles and east and north or whatever.
Yeah, you're probably like an hour, 90 minutes from snow if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 90 minutes from snow right now.
Yeah.
And there is plenty of snow on the mountains because of the storms last week. So like we would go, and it was like an hour and a half away, or whatever, or 2 hours, whatever.
Yeah.
And you would go and be there for like 2.5 days. And you'd still have like, church services basically while you were there. But then there was also like like crafts, but also like snow, inner tubing and snowball fights and like snowman building competitions and stuff. All the same kind of things that make summer camp fun, just snow.
Yeah, just snow versions.
It's like the Winter Olympics.
Yeah, that sounds awesome, honestly. Like, I love snow. I love,
Same.
like, I live in Nashville, so we don't get much of it. I used to get up at like 4 a.m. and like drive to my buddy's house, and then we would leave at like 4:30, drive to just north of Chicago, and then, which is like 6 hours.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not close.
And then we'd snowboard all day.
Okay.
And like at 5 p.m., we would start driving home and get back at like midnight smelling the worst we've ever smelled.
Oh, yeah.
So like I love like winter sports and playing in the snow, but we just don't get much of it here. Which makes me sad. And I honestly, we were just in Seattle. I would totally move to Seattle. It's beautiful. Anyway.
Oh, it is beautiful. I love it. My uncle, who lives near Seattle, now they get snow, but as kids, they lived in California, and he would Christmas Eve, late at night, drive high enough to get snow, load up his truck bed, drive it home, and then shovel it onto the lawn.
That's
so they would have
awesome.
white Christmas.
That's so great. I love that.
Yeah.
I also kind of love that like halfway through this movie, Gwen becomes a Lev Gwen from Stranger Things, more or less.
Oh, yeah.
And blows up the phone box that he's like torturing her through. I was like, hell yeah, Gwen.
I have that in my notes as well, where I was like, 11? Is that you?
It was great.
I haven't watched the new one at all. Maybe I'll do that today, I guess.
I hear it's really good, although I haven't watched any of it myself. But I liked Gwen, but I did think it was really shitty of her to accuse Finn of like smoking pot to numb himself against like what's going on when he is literally at Camp Frozen Crystal Lake helping you, Gwen.
Right.
Like he has saved her life multiple times at that point.
Multiple times.
I was like, clearly it's not that. Clearly he is just, it's 1982 when he's got ADHD. He's like self-medicating. Like, calm down.
Calm down, Gwen. But I have in my notes, because like this movie is not quite 2 hours long. It could be 90 minutes. And the way you make it 90 minutes is cutting that scene.
Yeah.
Because essentially she's like yelling at her brother for things that she has kind of hinted at the whole time. And then her dad shows up and she has to recap everything we have learned in the last 10 minutes for her dad. And I'm like, we as the audience know this. Like you could have cut to her dad being like, wow, so mom didn't kill herself?
Right?
Like,
yeah.
Like over a cup of coffee, like this is a lot to take in. Oh, man.
You won't mind if I'm not a character you see again until you solve the whole issue and then come back? Because I'm scared as shit. I'm just going to hang out here. You kids take care of the ghost of the serial killer you guys killed.
I don't know if you know, but I don't like ghosts. They're spooky.
I don't like spooky behavior. I do think the movie like looks great. It was shot great. I do think every time they're over the ice, they're on a soundstage. Because when they're actually like in the camp in the snow, they're wearing jackets and stuff. But in all the searching scenes that are over the ice, they're like in hoodies.
Yeah.
And I was like, guys, you are driving a tractor on ice. It is very cold outside. You would not just be rocking a hoodie. I don't care. Like, that's so funny to me.
Here's the thing. I saw a behind the scenes shot of Ethan Hawke like on the ice, like talking to the director.
Yeah.
I assume in the scenes where the grabber is. ice skating.
Paige,
Hilarious.
I kind of loved it though. Like, why wouldn't he be ice skating? Come on, get into it.
And it looked like they were outside, but it could have been a very large soundstage. I don't know for sure, but
I don't know for sure either. Either that or it was just like hot on the ice because you're in the sun technically.
Right,
so, like,
right.
I could see that too, but I thought it was so funny.
It could be fake ice. Who knows? Who knows? We'll find out in Fun Facts.
You know what I think is dumb though? And I think this is a very big like loophole in the plot. And that is the original Friday the 13th came out in 1980. So they would have known for 2 years trapping a serial killer at the bottom of a lake is a terrible idea.
Terrible.
And they wouldn't have done it this way.
They would have known better, and they wouldn't have gone to the camp. They would have been like, oh, a camp? No, I'll stay alive today, thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Although I do think it does an effective job of showing that Gwen has something going on to the point where she is going to walk to that camp, you know?
Yeah, no matter what.
Yeah, because it's like whenever she sleeps, she's like under control. So like I didn't think they had an option, really.
Yeah.
They just found a convenient way for them to drive instead of following a sleepy lady.
Right, drive in like a Buick with no chains on it.
Yeah, which is why they're stuck there. They are like stuck like 7 brides for 7 brothers. You know, like the Colorado Pass has been filled and they got to wait till spring.
Yeah, spring, spring, spring. Too late.
Yeah.
Sorry. Now you got to lie to all your dads about who's pregnant.
Oh, man. Yeah, they're in high school, I think. I don't think... Man, I did really love the way it portrays the religious lady and the way they just like shit on that character.
The whole time.
They are like pointing out her hypocrisy the whole movie to her face.
Yes.
And I kind of loved it.
I kind of dug it as well. While contrasting it with people who also believe but are doing the work.
Yes.
And I appreciate that so much.
Like the guy who owns the camp is clearly a believer. He owns a Christian camp. It's got a cross in the background, you know, like he clearly is a believer.
Right.
But he is also like a guy who actually is going to do things. I think it's the difference between having courage and not having courage.
Yes.
Because I will admit, even if you don't believe in like the grabbers out to get me, going and looking for 3 kids' bodies that died around this area is like sad. And like, it would be kind of creepy and eerie. And like, that takes courage, man. It's a different kind, but it's courage.
Yeah. I really like the way that the movie portrays Ernesto because they're like, I don't like the look of that kid. And he's just the nerdiest sweet boy with glasses.
It really is just the way an older brother and dad would respond to their daughter / sister starting to date. Like it could have been, and I think Ernesto proves himself to be like a genuinely good dude.
Of course.
I kind of wish it had ended on the Duran Duran concert.
Me too. I want them to go.
That would have been great. We caught the grabber and he's buried in the lake.
We skated over to the bodies he did take. Yeah.
Yeah, Paige, maybe we should just get on to how he ends up in the lake as we go through this movie scene by scene.
Let's do it. We've got a couple logos and then we have a rotary telephone in the snow and a chyron that says Rocky Mountains, Colorado, 1957.
And it looks like it would be a payphone. It's like a payphone booth.
Yes.
But I don't think it
camp.
is a payphone. And I think it's largely just because this is like a church camp.
Yeah.
And they have like a camp phone, right?
Yes.
So you don't have to pay to use it, but there's like a camp phone. It's like in a publicly lit area. So like anyone can use it at any point. You know?
Yeah.
It kind of made sense that it wasn't a payphone, but I did have to like think about that for a second.
When I was at Hume Lake, because cell phones did not really work up there at the time.
Right.
At like the general store, there was a phone out front. And I just like the idea that the Black Phone franchise will just work around where phones are until they get to 1999 in the vestibule of a Best Buy.
Oh, shit. Are we gonna... Paige, if they did a movie that was on the first season of Serial, come on.
And they're like, how? We killed the grabber years ago. Well, you know, death is only the beginning, as Emotep says.
When is death only the beginning? It's just like cue in the Serial music.
Only the beginning. Blink, blink, blink. Do you remember when death was? Blink, blink. Okay. So it's Lake Alpine or Alpine Lake. And we learned that the person on the phone is Hope Adler, 1957.
Yeah.
And she's basically, we're hearing one side of the conversation where she's like, I'm Hope Adler. It's Alpine Lake, a youth camp in the mountains. I had these dreams. It was 7 numbers, but no area code. So this is local. You're in Colorado, right? I saw it carved in the ice. Who is this? Who are you? Hello? Can you hear me? And then we hear static and she hangs up.
Yeah. This part was really creepy, but when she was like, it's 7 numbers. You're here locally, right? Who are you? And I was like, listen, you know it's Jenny. You got 8675309 from your dream. You're on the phone with Jenny from that Tommy Tutone song. Like, that's the way my brain works.
Yeah.
Like, so it took me out of the creepiness of it. Although I really do love the reveal of the other side of this phone call.
I love that.
It makes you think in this moment that it is the grabber she's talking to, but it's not.
Well, and it introduces a layer of like communicating through time through the phones, which is very interesting within the like established lore of how the phones work.
Yeah, it makes complete sense based on the original one, which I love. Yeah.
Yes. And I know that this is based on a short story. So like a lot of what we see at this point is just expanded universe. So there's not like backing lore for it, but Jenny, there's a big old blizzard. I think we're gonna die.
Wait, Paige.
I am trapped in this phone booth.
8675309. Grabber, I've got your number. I'm gonna dead you in ice. Yeah. God, we are strange, silly people, and I love
We're
it.
strange, silly people, for
Yeah.
sure. I, too, am strange and unusual. We cut to North Denver, 1982, where we see a fight happening at school. If you remember from the previous Black Phone, Finney was often bullied, and Robin would come to his aid until Robin gets grabbed by the grabber, and Finney then gets grabbed by the grabber, and then the first movie ensues.
Right.
But in this one, Finney is the one beating people up, almost as a way to kind of like assert his dominance on campus.
Yeah, I was going to say this. Like, I don't think the kid he's beating up started that fight.
I don't think so.
Because you don't pick a fight with the new kid who is known to have killed a serial killer. You don't pick a fight with that guy.
No, of course not. Like, Gwen kind of stops the fight
Yes.
and you know,
Yeah.
pulls him out and asks, like, what did the new kid do to you? And he said, are you the kid that wasted a serial killer? You don't look like you could. And I'm like, why would you doubt that? If that was a rumor about somebody, you'd be like, okay, then,
Yeah.
I'm going to be nice to that kid, right?
I'd be like, hey, I heard you killed a serial killer. Is that true? Oh my God, that's awesome. Tell me everything. I would absolutely want to be friends with that person just because I want the tea, but I wouldn't make fun of them. I was like, that is an insane reaction to hearing that news.
Crazy.
Which is why I thought it was like an overreaction from Finn.
Right.
Which I think it kind of was, I guess is my point.
Yeah, this is Finn acting out. Now, I do think this is one of the problems with this movie is that it kind of wants to have it both ways of Finn battling his PTSD, but also Gwen battling her own version of that and her powers. And I feel like this really is more of Gwen's movie.
I think so too.
I don't know if they felt like they couldn't make it Gwen's movie or something, because we have a lot of Finn that we kind of establish and don't pay off well in favor of Gwen's story, which is the more interesting story. And so I almost feel like instead of having this type of element with Finn, I would almost rather have Finn be on the other side of it and be the big brother kind of trying to guide Gwen through her challenges with this. But I think that's a tighter needle to thread, and that's why they didn't, and maybe we'll get that in the next movie.
Yeah, that would be hard. I mean, unless he's dead. You know what I'm saying? Unless,
Right,
which
right.
he's not, like, canonically. But I kind of like that it puts him in this lane of, like, he can do certain things within this, like, power system
Right, he
of
can
whatever's
answer the
going on
phones.
here, right? Yeah, because of his experience and probably, honestly, his trauma with all of that.
Right,
But she
right.
has a different gift.
Right.
And so he does operate in that realm to some level with the phone and stuff. But his job is mainly a protector to his sister who has the gift, right?
Right,
And I
right.
kind of love that they set that up in this movie because that is like the dynamic I want 9 movies of. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Like
Yes.
where they do solve that murder in Baltimore or whatever.
It is the Ed and Lorraine dynamic.
Yes, yeah, it is.
Because Ed has 0 powers.
Right. But sometimes he does see weird things or can like, you know,
Right.
feel presences or whatever. But
Right.
he's not the one with the gift.
Right. Like he feels the presence presence of a teenager that he's having an affair with.
Right.
And Lorraine is the one that like can sense
can sense everything except for the teenager living above their attic. Yes. No, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say she can sense the unwanted teenage presence in her house, but like, yeah. But that is this dynamic. And here's the thing. Ed and Lorraine is a little weird because they're based on real people and they were grifters. And so there's a lot of baggage that comes with that.
Right. That's why I prefer this.
Yeah.
Because it's not real.
Right. So, but like that dynamic though works. And so like to see the dynamic here as they're like solving cold cases, I'm fucking here for this, man.
Right.
I liked the first one. I liked this one a lot.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Anyway, as they're leaving school, Ernesto pulls up and is like, hey, I was going to go get Duran Duran tickets if you want to go. And like, yes, girl, it's Duran Duran.
He very I think covertly asks her on a date. He's like, hey, what are you guys doing later? And they're like, nah, not much. He's like, I'm going to go hang out at the Civic Center so I can get tickets to Duran Duran. And she's like, oh, I love Duran Duran. He's like, hey, I was going to get 2 tickets anyway.
Yeah.
Do you want the other ticket? Because, I was going to get 2 anyway. I was like, dude, Ernie is, let's just say, acting out a plan he has rehearsed many times.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? He thought this through and she falls for it. Now, I say falls for it, but I mean, she is kind of into him. So it's a nice way to be asked out on a date, very low pressure.
Right.
Although you said that they were going home from school. I don't think they are. I think they're in between classes. Because when she agrees to all this, he says, all right, I got to get to shop class. So I think he's moving his car to shop class.
Oh, maybe.
So that they can work on it or whatever. I don't know.
Oh.
I just thought it was such a weird detail that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And why not just set it after school when they're leaving? It doesn't make sense, but it made me laugh.
That is, because you're right. He does say shop class.
Yeah.
No idea. But I mean, do you remember when you had to wait for concert tickets?
No.
In person? Oh, this was still a thing when I was young.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my mom waited 2 hours in the cold for Hanson tickets for me at, I believe, either Tower Records or there used to be a Ticketmaster booth, where you'd have to go to the Ticketmaster booth. And then my aunt, I believe, did the same for NSYNC tickets when we went and saw NSYNC.
Bop to bye, bye, bye. And I'm here for it. Both those bands were great. But it really, those both were old sentences. That's.
Yes.
Yeah. Those sentences need to check their blood pressure, is all I'm saying.
Well, yeah. So my best friend also turned 38 this past month. So we went to Medieval Times for her birthday. Perfect.
I love it.
Do it.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Highly recommend. But her mom and dad were like, yeah, because this one she's 40. And we were like, that's not old anymore. Or maybe it is. Maybe we're old.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. It is what it is, baby.
It is what it is.
It's better than the alternative. I'll say that.
Yes. Better than not growing old, for sure.
Right.
Benjamin Button had a hard life. Anyway, as they're walking away, Finney is like, hey, by the way, Duran Duran, that's a date. He asked you on a date. And she's like, no, it isn't. But so what if it is? Clearly indicating that she's like, all right, though.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I mean, how old do you think she is? 15, 16?
Yeah.
And he's 17, 18 maybe?
Yes, because they're driving. So I think Ernesto has to be at least 16.
Right. I got that he was 16, 17. She was 15, 16. Right in there, And then the older brother is 17, 18.
Something like that. But he does have this of I don't like the way he looks at you. And it's hey, he's Robin's brother. It's kind of nice that we keep in touch after something horrible happened to both our families.
Yeah.
Essentially.
I mean, can I just say this? My brother was dating a lady when he died and he was 17 when he died. We're still kind of close to that family. It is just
of course.
It's a thing that kind of tragically binds people together.
Yeah.
By the way, the guy who plays Ernie in this movie was Robin in the last movie.
No way.
Yeah.
Same actor?
Same actor. Yeah, they used pretty much all of the same actors.
That's wild.
Or at least, where the story overlapped, they do, which I like.
That's crazy. Because I remember Robin looking very different, but I think they just dressed him different.
Well, and he's also 4 years older now.
That's true.
Child actors change a lot at those ages.
Yeah. If you don't believe me, watch Stranger Things.
Right? Yeah.
Anyway, we cut to that night and Finney is basically has his dad go to bed and he's going to stay up and watch TV, but really he's going to stay up and do drugs. He's smoking weed. It's the 80s. It's just weed.
Yeah. It's 82. Yeah.
But he starts having flashbacks where it's like he sees the grabber there.
Yeah.
And essentially it's presented as like he's smoking the weed to make the flashbacks go away.
Right. So he doesn't think about it. He's trying to stop himself from thinking about it.
Yeah. If I had a nickel.
I know, man.
Right?
I get it. Yeah.
But his sister comes out and is like, hey, I know that's what you're doing, so I'm not going to narc you out. I know you got to like work through your shit, but like you can talk to me about it and we can figure it out. And he's like, you have no idea what I went through. And I was like, well, weirdly enough, because psychic, she kind of does.
Yeah. I actually like the way this scene is done because that is more or less like the feeling of the scene. But what she says to him is, it's okay to feel this way. And he goes, you don't know how I feel. And she goes, I know, but I know however you feel, it's okay. Like,
right.
It's not important for me to know exactly how you feel, to be there for you and to love you and to like validate your feelings, you know? And I kind of like loved that. I thought that was a very kind of emotionally way too mature for a 16-year-old, at least for me at 16-year-old.
Oh,
because I'd have been like, well, I don't know, fuck you, man. I guess I'm just like trying to be here for you. Like I would not have handled the pushback on that well.
Just trying to be your friend.
Yeah.
Dad, finish smoking weed. Like, 100%. Anyway. Gwen goes to sleep.
Yeah.
She wakes up to the sound of a phone ringing. She walks through her house, and we do see that there is like a stylistic shift where they like kind of either emulated an 8mm, the like view of the movie, or shot it on 8mm. I think there's a little bit of both going on.
Oh, I also think you hear the audio.
Yeah.
I'm sure they did not record to tape, but you hear the like sound, the low kind of hum and crackle a little bit.
Yes.
Of when you record to tape. Or it could also just be like a record with no music kind of sound, like that record, not scratch, but like just like hum.
But to emulate that hum, yeah.
It does this really weird thing of like placing it in a dream state, but in a very like nostalgic way. And I kind of dug that. I thought it was really well done. Because it is the like obviously shot on film nature of the look and then that sound that really tie you to like the 80s, you know?
Well, and not only just the 80s, which by the way, this is not something they did in the first movie, but I actually really like it in this movie and would hope that they kept it up.
Me too.
Because it gives you a very stark visual cue for when someone is asleep versus someone is awake and which state they're in, which becomes very important later on when we're dealing with Gwen being asleep and Gwen being in dreamland versus everyone else being awake. And I think that was actually a very, very smart choice to visually represent it that way.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
But cool, kind of stylized. She walks through her house and it's not her phone, but she can still hear the phone. And she basically follows it outside until Finn wakes her up and is like, hey, you were sleepwalking. You're super cold. Are you okay? And she's like, I had a bad dream. I just have to go back to bed.
Is this where she's like dreaming about the kids like that died and like she sees the first one? Okay.
That's the next one.
Yeah.
But she kind of gets up the next morning. We cut to her at school and she's reading about dream interpretation and spooky stuff. And mean girls at school call her a witch. But Ernie comes over and brings her a Loteria deck, which is very sweet.
I do like that and like, listen, Paige, I'm sure you knew what a Loteria deck was. I did not. So I do love that the dialogue in this scene is like, oh, these are like tarot decks. So I was like, oh, thank you, because I am that kind of dumb. I apologize. That's just the truth.
Yeah.
But I do love when a movie will like work in that kind of stuff for the dummies like me. But I like that he gave it to her too, because and I don't know if it's like this with Loteria decks, but it's like it with tarot decks, where it's like, maybe it doesn't have to be necessarily, but it's like a more powerful deck or whatever if it's a gift. I've heard various different interpretations of that, and I don't care. It is whatever it is to you. But like, I kind of loved that in this movie. I also love that like the thing that she is othered by society, Ernie is just like into, man.
Sure. Because she's like, I'm weird. And he's like, I'm into weird.
Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting that the Loteria deck that he gives her is not traditional. It's like a new with like fun drawings kind of one.
Yeah, it's cool.
At my birthday, Jake got a Loteria card tattooed on his chest that just says Corazon.
Oh, that's cool.
It's very cool. I like it a lot. But yeah, even if you're not familiar with the term loteria, you have probably seen loteria illustrations.
I'm sure I have. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Ernie's into it. Love it. But he asks her, he's like, is it true that your dreams are how they found my brother? Essentially. Like,
Yeah.
my parents say it was an anonymous thing, but they said it was you and that you had a dream and that's how they found Robin's body. And she's like, I don't like talking about it because I'm weird. I don't like getting into the specifics. And he's like, I like weird. And also thank you for helping us find my brother.
Yeah.
Basically, like, we wouldn't have his body if not for you, basically.
Yeah.
But we cut to Finney, who has either skipped school or is after school or something. And he's at a convenience store buying cigarettes too young. And as he walks out, he passes a payphone. It rings and he answers and just says, I'm sorry, but I can't help you. And then hangs up.
Yeah.
And as he leaves, we see that the payphone is out of order.
Yeah.
So that tells us, within the confines of the lore of the first movie, he's essentially still getting calls from missing boys.
Yes, he is. I think this is one of the ways they're setting up that this is going to be a franchise. And I hope is going to be a franchise.
Yes.
It's kind of like a serious Ghostbusters in a way.
Yes.
And I love
Yes.
that. And even at the end of the movie, when Gwen is talking to her mom, Holly, she doesn't say, I'm in heaven and the boys are in heaven. She says they're where they're supposed to be.
Right.
Which I prefer to the, like, you know, everyone's in heaven kind of whitewashing of the ending. I think it's like a metaphor for, like, you gave their bodies back to their families so that they could be handled in accordance with whatever, you know?
Right.
And I kind of love that look of it too. I don't know. I really dig it.
Well, I like that it leaves it open-ended in that way because, as we'll talk about as we get further into the movie, the grabber talks about hell.
Yeah.
But he also talks about hell not being what people expect.
Yeah.
And because of what he did in life, having reverberations, and that's how he can kind of talk to them, he's not done atoning, essentially, for what he has done in life. So I do love the, like, spiritual lore of this movie. I think is very interesting.
I think it's cool.
But this is also, I think the reason he gets calls from boys is because he was one.
Yeah, me too. I think it's the trauma. The trauma ties you to it.
It's linked to the trauma.
I think any other boy that survived would also be able to get calls.
Yes. Which, hey, future Black Phone movies, how fascinating would that be for them to meet someone else who gets calls?
Yeah.
Or meet someone else who gets communications in different ways because of the way that they were traumatized. Like, it opens up so many options for, like, franchise lore that I am here for.
By Black Phone 4, they're getting pages, man. They're like, oh, God, I got this page.
We found these dead boys at the mall. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, though. If it continues on the timeline, we are going to get real Michelle Remembers Satanic Panic with it. And I am both thrilled for that to happen and terrified that they're going to do it badly. Because you have two options with Satanic Panic. You have Late Night with the Devil, which is fucking great. And then you have the most recent Conjuring films that are not so great.
Not great. Yeah.
Not great. Which we still have to do the most recent one.
But to do a movie that is very much like one of the root causes that, like, led to the Satanic Panic was the, like, kidnap and murdering of children. Like,
right.
And that is what is happening in these movies, right? That is what Wild Bill is doing, or the grabber, you know? So, like, I would love, like, a realistic look of, like, no, this is what was actually happening.
Right.
And now this psychic and her brother who went through it have to solve it.
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, the first movie, as I remember it, and it has been a while since I watched it. I meant to rewatch it before this and ran out of time. But it very much, if I remember correctly, mirrors the Johnny Gosh case.
Yeah.
And within, like, the same time frame, too. And so you could absolutely tie this to similar types of events in history. Let me write number 3 or let them write it. Don't care. But, like,
I mean, whoever. But, like, I do think that they should make more of these.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
But he can't help you. Meanwhile, back at the camp, we get, like, a dream state of the grabber chasing, and we don't really know it's a grabber. We haven't seen the mask yet. But chasing a kid through the woods, shirtless. Thank you, whoever lied to me and said that Ethan Hawke isn't shirtless in this movie.
I remember you saying that, and then I saw him shirtless, and I was like, oh, Paige, she's going to be happy about this.
Similarly, I saw the one jump scare in this movie, and I was like, Todd's going to hate this.
I did hate it. Yeah, it's the reason this movie is not a 1 on the scary scale. Yeah.
But he's chasing a kid through the woods. He grabs him and murders him. And then we see Gwen wake up to hearing the phone ringing again, but the stylized filter is still on.
Yeah.
And so we know that she's still dreaming. She's, one level deep on the inception. And she walks out onto her lawn and sees a dismembered frozen body on the lawn.
Yeah.
And this is where she has now seen the boy under the ice writing the W.
Yeah.
And I think the next one is the B.
Yeah, because when the second kid, because we do get 3, because the guy killed 3 kids and we're trying to find their bodies throughout this movie.
Right.
But when the second one does the B, I was like, oh my God, of course, it was Warner Brothers.
It'd be so funny if you found out, Warner had the original option and then passed on it, and it almost killed this movie. But she then answers a phone, and this is where we see the other side of that phone call, where it's like, this is Hope from, the opening of the movie.
Yeah.
This is Gwen. Where are you calling from? This number. And so this is how we found out that Hope, who we will find out moments after this is her mother, essentially gets phone numbers on the ice.
Yeah.
And then Gwen gets letters. But the phone number that Hope gets allows her to call Gwen in the future.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely in line with the lore and a fascinating change, essentially.
Yeah, it's, I think, the first time someone calls into the Black Phone Network.
Right. And I think it's because her mom has the skills that she has.
Yeah, I agree, yeah.
And Gwen is now that she's a teenager, when the poltergeist happenings start happening, she is, I think, growing into her skills as well.
Yeah.
But, so she then, as part of this, walks out into where the original black phone is and answers it on the wall. And then she is interrupted by the grabber's brother.
Yeah.
Who's like, you shouldn't be here. The brother being one of my favorite characters from the first movie.
Yeah.
Where he was just like coked out and Pepe Sylvia-ing the case until it was like, red string. Is it my brother? Axe to the head.
Right.
Immediately.
And the grabber's like, you made me kill my brother. And I wanted Finn at one point to be like, I didn't actually.
You killed your brother.
Yeah, you killed your brother. I didn't do any of that.
By any measure of this, you killed your brother because you were killing people and he was coked out and trying to solve the case.
Right.
Yes. But she snaps out of her dream and Finn has followed her to the grabber's place.
Yeah.
Which, high marks for Finn. I wouldn't want to go back there.
Oh, 100%. That's where the trauma happened, man. I wouldn't want to go back there either.
Yeah. And she at this point is like, oh my God, am I actually here? I'm going crazy. I was just talking to Mom on the phone and she was at this fucking youth camp and there's boys missing because I keep seeing in my dream. And I think I don't know if the grabber is related, but I'm here. And so what's going on? So she then shows up the next day at home with a brochure for the camp and is like, we have to go to there. We have to be counselors. And he's like, it's a Christian youth camp. And she's like, we got to go. We got to solve the murder. And it pays. So that's why we're going to go.
Yeah.
And that's how she convinces her dad to let them go, even though her dad's like, yeah, your mom used to work there. I thought it closed, but I guess it's reopened. I don't really like that religious stuff, but if they pay, go for it.
I mean, his kid's got a job. That's great.
His kid's got a job.
And Gwen did say that he had been wanting Finn to get a job, but it does seem like in the next scene, Ernie's going to drive her up to camp. And so he's not going to go. And then he's like, fine, I'll go with you.
Right.
So it seems like in this scene, the ultimate response was, no, I'm not going to go with you. That's crazy. I'm not going to go to a Christian camp. Are you kidding? The satanic panic is just about to start. That's the worst place to be, honestly.
Yeah.
And then eventually in the next scene, when they're sizing up Ernie.
Yes.
They're like, I don't like that boy. And he's like, I don't like him either. And he's like, fine, I'll go. It seems like he goes to be protective over his sister in this new romantic relationship, which I thought was very silly.
Very silly.
Because Ernie's a nice kid.
Yeah, Ernie's the nicest, sweetest boy.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was just waiting for them to be like, didn't you see that documentary about Crystal Lake 2 years ago?
Right?
Never go to camp.
And I would argue that Camp Crystal Lake is a better name for this movie because the lake's surface is kind of like a crystal, right? Because it's ice.
Yeah, well, and they find the bodies under it and, Anyway, they drive up to the snow with no chains listening to Pink Floyd.
I love that needle drop, though. They drop in the wall. I was like, hell yeah, guys, let's go.
But the roads are snowed in. The blizzard's really bad. It's not safe for them to basically drive. And so Finney gets out and he runs in front of the car so they can see Finn and he can kind of scout the road ahead.
Yeah.
And who do they run into but Mustang on a horse with a flashlight, and they follow her into the camp. Now, once they arrive at the camp, Mustang, who we find out is, I believe, Mondo's daughter.
I don't know that they ever say that, but that's the way it is, like, relationship-wise, it seems.
Yeah, and she works with the horses in the kitchen, but she's not a counselor, so she, like, doesn't sleep in the counselor barracks. It's like a whole thing.
I mean, she might just stay at Armando's house because that's his daughter.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's her dad. But they basically reveal, hey, camp is canceled.
Camp is counselor.
Camp is canceled. None of the campers are coming because the roads are blocked. The counselors have already gone home before the roads closed.
Yeah.
You guys are the only ones that we couldn't call and get to in time because you left late, probably because of Finney packing.
Yeah.
So you're basically here until the roads open again, but you're welcome to stay here. We've got food. We're, watching the camp. Might as well be here anyway.
Yeah, it's not you're snowed in till spring, but it's that kind of vibe, right?
Yeah.
It's really you're snowed in until your dad gets here with the snowplow.
Right. He says like 2 to 3 days, maybe a little bit more unless somebody plows early, which we will find out their dad literally right after, because the next morning they call their dad, and at that point he starts the plow kind of thing.
Yeah, let's talk about that when we get to it, though, because I want to point out something in that scene.
Yes. So Finn goes to smoke outside. The wind is howling. Gwen is having weird dreams of like standing on the ice. And this is where she gets the WBH with that kid's face cut in half.
Yeah, the one who got axed.
Yeah. The storm's extra bad, but she's still dreaming. She hears the phone. She hears somebody scraping under the bed and looks, and it is a dead body. And this is where I knew that Todd was going to hate this jump scare.
I definitely did jump at this, and I did hate it fully.
Yes. Yeah.
I just kind of like in my body yelled, why? Because like there's no need for all that, but like it did scare the shit out of me. So like, well done, I guess.
Yep. Meanwhile, at the phone booth outside where Finn is smoking, the phone rings and he answers it, and it is the grabber.
Yeah.
And this is the first place where the grabber is like, hell's not flames, it's ice. Like, it's rough.
Yeah.
It is pain and burning in ways that you don't think, and it reduces you to your worst parts, and that's what's left of me now, essentially.
I thought it was cool that like Finn initially is talking to the 3 boys.
Right.
And we see them very far off in the distance. And then through, I think, some cool camera trickery, they show up like right against the phone booth, and they start beating on the phone booth, and then it becomes the grabber through like similar means and other calls. I thought it was really well done. It was a way to like make the phone booth that is glass on all sides still seem like creepy things could pop up out of nowhere, and it does.
And claustrophobic too, yes.
Yes,
yeah.
It does. It does a really good job with that.
While that's happening in Gwen's cabin, which they didn't establish great that Gwen was in a different cabin at this point, because she's like up and screaming and running around the cabin.
Yeah.
And this kid gets his head sliced off with a window, and you're just like, what the fuck? There's like half a face on the floor. And at this point I was like, how did Ernesto not wake up? And we will find out it's because she was in a completely different cabin.
Yeah.
But then she goes to Ernesto and Finn's cabin and climbs in with Ernesto, who basically is like, I will keep you safe. You can sleep with me.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. And she then kind of talks about like, hey, my dreams mean stuff. There's got to be boys here. And I talk to the voice of my intuition, if you want to call it, as Jesus, because that's the language I have to call this, essentially.
Yeah. I thought it was funny that she like curls up next to more or less her boyfriend, or like who is, I think, by the end of this movie, her boyfriend, and is like, you don't think I'm a freak, do you? And he's like, ain't nothing wrong with being a freak, baby.
Ain't nothing wrong with being a freak. Please be a freak.
It's just like a literal version of that. I think she even says a freak. Anyway.
But Finn overhears them.
I did love that reveal because they're about to kiss and Finn's like, yeah, okay, guys, I just need to remind you that like I'm here and I can't go anywhere else and like I can hear everything you're saying. It's such a funny reveal.
Well, and he ends it with like, Duran Duran's definitely a date.
Yeah. And it is. I think it is. I think Ernie was like, hell yeah, it is.
But we get up the next morning. They go to call their dad in the office. And this is the first place where they meet Ken and Barbie, but also Finn goes out to the phone booth again.
Yeah, well, he goes to use the phone booth because it's ringing, and she goes into the office. I think she might call her dad first.
Oh, this is actually, there's a scene before this where...
Oh, is there? Okay.
Yes, Mondo gets up with them and has
their
breakfast.
scene. Yeah, that's right. Because that's where we meet Mustang officially.
That's where we officially meet Mustang. But also, this is where Mondo's like, hey, I saw that you slept in the boys' cabin. I could lose my license. Don't do that again.
Yeah.
Which he's right, because like at this time, they definitely would not have had co-ed cabins and he probably would have lost his license.
Yeah.
But he then is like, look, why are you here? You never camped here before. You didn't list any churches on your applications, which means you didn't get one of our pamphlets, which means you sought us out. So why did you seek us out?
Yeah.
And this is where she's like, well, our mom went here. And he's like, who is your mom? And they show a picture and he's like, Starlight. I do remember Starlight. How did she die?
Paige, when he said Starlight, I was like, oh, this is not a Christian camp. This is straight up a cult compound. Starlight was her name? Okay. All right, buddy.
Okay, so at one of the summer camps I went to, the people who worked with the youth group had fake names as counselors.
Okay.
And I, as an adult, think it's because they were very close in age to us and they didn't want us contacting them or looking them up.
Ah, okay.
I think that's why. But like sometimes at the end of the week, a counselor might tell you their real name at the end, but like just the first name at the end of the week or whatever. And like as a kid, I just thought it was cool that you get a nickname. Like as a kid, I wanted to be a counselor so badly. I was so good at lanyards. But like as an adult, like looking back, I have a very different view of those counselors. Not a bad one, but like I'm pretty sure you had the fake names so kids couldn't find you,
right,
or look you up or track you down. And I'm pretty sure that there was probably drinking and weed smoking happening outside of camp after hours that we just did not know about.
Probably. Yeah.
Probably. And there were probably reasons why they weren't supposed to talk to the high schoolers and stuff. Like all of these things. I'm like, I think these were rules for reasons.
Yeah.
But I was not weirded out by her having a fun camp name as Starlight, but I do think Starlight's a cute camp name.
Fair enough.
It's a fun one to choose.
Yeah.
That's better than like Beaver Chuck or something stupid.
I mean, yeah, there are worse camp names than Starlight for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But this is where they tell Armando that their mom killed herself. And he looks kind of like, oh, that I wouldn't have expected that. Kind of sad.
Yeah.
At this point, in my notes, I just have, or did she?
Dun, dun, dun. I mean, I knew that it was going to be revealed that, like,
something else happened.
It was one of Bill's victims. Yeah, it was one of the grabber's victims. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do want to say this. They call the dad and explain what's happening.
Not yet.
And the dad... Oh, I thought that's the next scene. Sorry.
It is the next scene, but we didn't finish this one because
sorry.
He says you should go call your parents and say that you're safe. And they're like, okay, cool, the payphone. He's like, no, that hasn't worked in a decade.
Yeah.
So now we know that phone doesn't work. They have to go to the office to call.
Yeah.
So they go to the office. Finn goes to the payphone that starts ringing again, and he answers and does kind of a... I know what you did last summer of like, come get me!
Yeah.
Like, I'm here!
And this is the one where it is the grabber behind him, not the three kids, right? And it's not scary, but spooky. Like, he does sort of come up out of nowhere, and it's very well done.
This is the one that starts with, who are you? It's cold here. We don't remember. There's three of us.
Okay.
And the kids come out, but then it turns into the grabber. Meanwhile, Ernesto and Gwen go to the office with Ken and Barbie to call home. Ernesto calls home. Gwen... It appears is about to or has already, but we do get a cut to her dad.
Yeah. Where
she has called him at home.
Yeah. And then like he sees the end of a beer commercial and it's like Miller Lite, head to the mountains or whatever. And instead of like going and getting some beer and having like a 3-day weekend, more or less, where he can get drunk without kids.
Right.
He like calls his friend and is like, hey, Jacob Plow, I need you to get me a plow for the weekend.
That's my name. It's Jacob Plow.
Yeah, exactly.
We do find out earlier that he has his 3-year chip, which means he hasn't been drinking since Finn's disappearance, essentially, or thereabouts.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But this is also where we get Gwen squaring off with Barbara for the first time because Barbara's like, you harlot, you snuck into the boys' cabin.
Yeah.
And I'm like, one of those is her brother.
Right?
Like, maybe she wants to be with her brother in the storm.
Yeah.
But she then is like, hey, is there anything historical about the camp written down? Because we're here to look into the like kids that have been killed. And she's like, No, because Philippians 4:8 says to think on things that are just lovely. And then Gwen finishes the verse of like, and true and just and honest, which means solving the murders of these kids. So like,
Yeah.
can you tell me about the kids? And she's like, it's not a haunted tour. And she's like, look, bitch, I know some fucked up shit happened here. And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And she's like, you have a filthy mouth. And she then calls Barb a sanctimonious twat. And I was like, we love to see it.
Yep.
We love to see it.
I love watching this archetype get called out for its hypocrisy. It's great.
Absolutely.
The problem is they don't care because they know they're hypocrites, so it doesn't matter really. But yeah, it's great to see on screen.
Yes. But this is where we cut to Gwen having another dream, now in her own cabin. But this is where she sees the boys carve into ice. She's kind of talking to them. It's like, it's hard to remember things here. We don't remember, but we're not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
And they go running into the woods. She chases them and sees kind of this like a bloody jacket and like red feathers floating down.
Yeah, it's the down jacket that one of them was in.
Yeah, we cut back to the cabin where it's like she wakes up, but she hears the ringing and her mom is outside and the door keeps opening.
I gotta be honest with you, if that was going on and I like quote woke up and my front door was opening and slamming and there was a creepy lady just standing out there, I would have just like quietly creeped to the door, closed it and locked it and like really just hoped she went away.
I mean, that is an option. I just hope she put on shoes before she went running into the snow.
I know, right?
Because she's in like pajamas.
I know. That's why I was like, it's got to be a soundstage. Like, it's too cold out there for her to be in like pajamas.
Yes.
But I would have done pretty much what I do when the Mormons come by, and just like close the door and lock it.
Right.
And then hope they go away.
Be like, I'm not home. Like,
they're like, you have a full glass front door. And I'm like, I know.
My promised land is away from you.
Theirs is in Missouri.
I mean, you could pick worse places, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, meanwhile, Mondo and Finn are outside because Mondo is like, hey, you can't smoke weed here, but like, I know some shit has happened to you. I can see it in your eyes.
Yeah.
And he's like, I know that your sister's upset and she's like not doing great, but like, we can figure this out, right? Like, we'll figure it out together. And the phone rings and he's like, you don't have to answer it. And he says, yes, I do, because I have to look after my sister.
Yeah.
Now, Gwen is gone and Ernesto is like running. And I guess this is not the time that he's with Mondo. I guess that's later, but Finney does answer the phone again. There's a lot of answering the phone outside.
Yeah, it's a lot of the kids calling or the grabber calling, right?
Right.
And them trying to figure out what the WBH stands for and all that stuff, right? So we're getting not a montage, but like Gwen is doing the like spiritual research where she's sort of seeing things that happened or may allude to what happens to each of the kids. Like she sees the bloody stump with the axe going into it and all that stuff. And that's sort of where she's building here's what I think happened to the kids, right?
Right.
And he is talking to them on the phone, getting kind of their version of events, even though they can't really remember much.
Right.
So it's like cryptic and creepy on his side.
Right. And this is when on the phone, the grabber is on the phone and tells him, like, you made me kill my brother. I want to do what I've always wanted to do, which is to scare you and then hurt you while you're scared. Meanwhile, Gwen is lost somewhere in camp. Ernesto's looking for her because she wasn't in her bedroom.
Right.
And now everyone in the camp is awake and searching for her because, like, if she gets lost outside in a blizzard, she could die.
Oh, she definitely would die.
Exposed to the elements, right?
She's wearing just like pajamas.
Right. But she has essentially walked into the kitchen in a dream state, and they are now observing her sleepwalking and fighting the grabber in the process, which is a crazy scene. When it tosses her across 2 tables worth of dinnerware, I was like, incredible.
I know.
What a great overhead shot. Like, so fun.
It was crazy. Even if you were just standing there watching that, it's crazy because they can't see the grabber.
Right.
So it is just like Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, it's fully Nightmare on Elm Street at that point. That is where the comparison comes in.
Yeah.
Although my favorite thing is that every time the grabber is fighting them in the dream world, Barb takes some sort of implement to the face. So she gets like a ladle to the face in this season.
Yeah.
Later, she gets like blunt force trauma like where she's bleeding.
Do they die? I thought they might be dead at the end of this movie.
They might be dead because we don't see them after, and they were very bloody, but she was awake, so I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of got that they were hit in the head with an axe and may have died from it. Like, it was like that
Possibly.
kind of vibe.
Yeah. Or one of the grabbers ice skates.
That could be too, yeah.
That could be too.
He was doing a triple sow cow and just like was too close. That's what it was.
Too close.
Oh my God. If we get, all right, hey, brave ice skater out there who's like thinking about what their show should be for the upcoming Olympic trials.
Oh.
I dare you to do a black phone too. I dare you.
Hilarious.
Just have like blood packs on him and like just as he's spinning in the air, just going off.
Look.
Come on.
If you're about to go to national champs and you know you're going to come in 8th and not make the Olympic team.
But want to go viral? Yes.
Do it. Do it, coward. Do it.
I like how you call someone who's dedicated their life to trying to be the best in the world at a thing and still currently is only going to get 8th.
Yeah.
And
look, I've been there.
Might be considering it. I know, Paige, same. Fully same.
Do it. Do it, coward. Anyway, so they wake Gwen up. So the grabber like retreats into the darkness. Very cool.
It is really cool. Like the whole sequence where he is fighting Gwen and they're just kind of watching and then they do sort of help and it sets up that like you can kind of grab the grabber even though you can't see the grabber.
Right.
Although they don't do it much. And it really is kind of positioned in this scene that like Ernie is going over there to stop him from throwing her in the fucking oven.
Right.
And they're just like watching all this happen. So Ernie, who like, you know, doesn't maybe love Gwen, but like wants to see where the savior of his brother is like, where's she going to end up, you know, because like she kind of cute or whatever in his mind. So he goes over there and grabs her and is like pulling her. And then so does it. The brother comes over and grabs her and pulls her.
Right.
They're not touching him yet. But you can like, I guess, fight for the living when they're fighting the grabber at least.
Right, which is something a little bit different from Nightmare on Elm Street where like the living are kind of being thrown about, but you can't really fight Freddy in the world. And in this one, you kind of can.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're fighting a Patrick Swayze ghost kind of situation.
Yes.
But just like the demon version of that, right? Because they can be in the corporeal world, but you can't necessarily see them.
And the ice skates, you take them with you.
How dare you, Paige?
Anyway, we cut to the next day where they're all sitting in the chapel talking about what just the fuck happened.
Right. Paige, I might go to a chapel if I saw that happen.
Of course.
I don't know. Like at that point, everything's fair game. If this really happened and I saw it with my own eyes, maybe I've been wrong.
And Barb is like, you got the devil in you, child. And I'm like, stop it.
I love that every time Barb speaks and says something that is shitty, they immediately are like, shut the fuck up, Barb. God damn. And she's like, it's Barbie. And they're like, I don't give a shit. Like, you're a terrible character. I love that they immediately call her on her shit every time.
I love it. And I love that Mustang does it too. It's like, you're the worst. You've been the fucking worst, Barb.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, damn. But this is where she reveals what she's been seeing of the boys. And this is where Mondo reveals that like he's been looking for those boys for years.
Yeah.
And some of the details she knows, only the police knew that. And so he believes her essentially is like, you have information no one else could know. And you're finding out in an unconventional way, but maybe we go find those kids because I've been looking for them forever. So like whether this helps your grabber situation or not, that's the whole reason I bought and reopened this camp is so that I could find these kids because I feel bad about it. And I view that as my mission to make things right with their families.
Yeah.
Which is him being like, God gave me the option to basically fulfill what I have been wanting to fulfill in your also problem.
Yeah.
But it's him doing the work.
Yeah, I think he reveals that they are of actual kind of joint purposes, like in this scene, right?
Yeah.
And I do think, is this the scene where they like pull the photo off the wall and are looking at the counselors?
That's the very next scene.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it does tee that up really well too, because he does reveal that like, hey, I was a counselor here and then I was able to, like you just said.
Yeah.
So it tees all that up really well.
Because he's like, I'm not going to pass up a chance to do what's right, even if this seems unconventional, which is like perfect.
That's like the flip side of Christianity. Like that Barbie and Ken are doing a terrible job of exemplifying, but he, who was also a person of faith, is doing a good job of exemplifying.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like it.
But this is where he takes them to the wall of photos. He pulls one off the wall. He's like, this is the last year the camp was open. I was a cook and your mom was a counselor. And these were the kids. So they all disappeared that year or that winter.
Yeah.
And this is where Finney, who has seen the grabber, is like, that's the grabber.
I know his face.
Like, I know that guy. And he's like, we called him Wild Bill Hickok. Now, it's revealed that that's not his real name.
Right.
That's just what they called him.
Yeah.
So, but this is like, okay, so this is where he started, allegedly.
Right.
Maybe he started earlier. We don't know.
Right. I think that, and listen, this may be where he started.
Up to future franchise to tell us.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But there also could be other murders, and this is just the 3 that happened while he was working here, you know?
Right. Before he made his way to Denver. What happened in between? Does he have accomplices? Who knows?
Why was he driving his fiance's Volkswagen?
Who knows?
I'm sorry, that's a Bundy reference.
That is a Bundy. Yeah.
As he was driving through Colorado.
I was thinking more BTK of like he disappears for 10 years.
This is definitely more BTK, yeah.
This is definitely more BTK.
Yeah.
Well, only if we don't get the stories in between.
True. Okay, fair.
Right?
Yeah.
If they start giving us stories in between, then it's more of like a Gacy or a Robin Gecht or another killer that killed in multiple places and mostly targeted young boys.
Yeah.
Which honestly, given that the grabber has like a van and is kind of magician-y, clown adjacent.
A little more Gacy.
A little more Gacy.
Yeah.
But that also means that you could play with those years in between.
I think the Israel Keys motif is way scarier than any, like Gacy or like that.
That too.
That is the scariest actual serial killer I've ever heard of. But Paige, I do think that this scene does a great job of revealing why the grabber, Wild Bill Hickok is like scarier in this movie to me than the first movie. And it's because in this movie, he already has dead man's hands.
Oh,
sorry. If you're a Wild Bill, if you're a Deadwood nerd, you get that joke. But like, Dead Man's Hand was I think it's aces over eights that Wild Bill Hickok was holding when he got shot in Deadwood.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he didn't even need fake handcuffs to get them. That's a Gacy reference.
Yeah.
But they also reveal that weird things have happened around the camp and everyone has seen it. And they started happening in 1978 after they killed the grabber. So he then basically went back to, in theory, his first set of crimes, or maybe they're just the crimes that are related to their mother. And that's why they connect. Who knows?
And maybe this is a fragment of his soul or whatever that is around these killings. And there is a version of that at every one of the places he lived or worked or whatever, where there are clusters of bodies that he killed.
I love that.
I don't think they establish it exactly in this movie or say anything definitively on that in this movie, but like it could be anything like that and still continue the franchise.
I love that. I know that's, and I hate that this is the only word I have to describe that as Horcrux, but like kind of like that of like you're killing pieces of him as you uncover his crimes.
Yeah.
But I fucking love that. Also, we find out that they never looked at this frozen lake because it was frozen over when they went missing. So they assumed they wouldn't be in the lake because it was frozen. But we know that Wild Bill taught them how to play hockey and had access to like a game shed in a lake that's kind of further up, and that he could have cut a hole in that lake and people would not have known.
Yeah.
So now we cut to later that night. Mondo is sitting and there's like a CB radio and crackles come through the radio. And he's like, I know you're out there, Bill. And he says, I'm not Bill. And he's like, grabber, whatever you want to be called. Evil is evil.
Man, this scene, because he says that, and he's like, more or less, this is where I think Mondo very clearly enters the fight with the grabber. And when he like says, I'm not Bill or whatever over and over and over, and then the lights go out, I would have just like put everything down and stepped outside and run until I hit town and then bought a ticket to somewhere tropical. Like that is the most terrifying. Like it wasn't so scary on screen, but if you were in that moment, I would have fucking like with the snowman faces on the window.
Yeah, the bloody snowman face that looks like the grabber mask.
Yeah. No, I would have cleared out of there so fast. But what I really wanted him to do when Wild Bill was saying, my name's not Bill or whatever over and over, I wanted him to be like, fine, Wild Invoice Hickok. Just be a real douche about it.
Fine, Wild William, like, if you insist.
Yeah.
But this is where he then immediately after this goes out and catches Finn smoking pot, but talks to him and is like, hey, you're fucking angry about stuff and I believe in you and you can face it and we can protect your sister and keep you safe. But to think about those two scenes together, that means this man talked to a ghost and was like, I'm going to fuck you up, ghost. And then went outside to the kid who's tortured by the ghost. He's like, don't worry, I'm going to fuck up that ghost. And you're like, fuck yeah, Mondo. Let's go.
I do kind of love that he also like takes his pot and is like, this is terrible shit anyways.
Yeah, it's not even good pot.
Mondo knows, like, maybe he doesn't have his own supply, but he knows that kid overpaid for stems.
Absolutely.
And he's doing him a favor.
Well, he also, and this is if you've ever been to church camp, there's one of these at every church camp. Someone who had a real rough past and has to tell you about it scared straight style.
Oh, yeah.
And like,
this is for real.
Exactly. Like when I was on the streets, this happened.
Back when I was trading stocks, I got so high that I couldn't move my legs. So I had to army crawl out to my Ferrari. This is for real. Now I'm just like repeating the formula that is the Scared Straight SNL series. I love those. They're so funny.
I do love that Scared Straight SNL series. Keenan is perfect in every one of those sketches.
Keenan's amazing. Yeah.
At one of the church camps, and I believe it was a winter church camp, there was a guy who told us about how horror movies made him do heroin and how he woke up in a gutter
wow.
as a Satanist because he was into horror movies.
Bro, you just got into Alice in Chains. Like, calm down.
As an adult looking back, I'm like, not to diminish this man's trauma that I'm sure exists.
And struggle, whatever, yeah.
And struggle. I don't think it was the horror movies.
Paige, I am the perfect control for that experiment. I've never watched horror movies until we started doing this podcast, and I have become a huge heroin addict. So, yeah, I mean, I think clearly, no.
How am I immune?
Never done heroin. So, like, we're good.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where, like, thinking back, because I was thinking about it today as he was like, back when I was on the streets, things were hard, and I was like, oh my God. And I had, like, a visceral flashback memory to Jesus camp where it was like, yeah, I thought you think Nightmare on Elm Street's a joke or whatever. And it was not that. I think it was The Exorcist that he was trying to warn us about.
Probably.
But like having seen The Exorcist, great character study. And so but yeah, I very similar talk I remember having. But Mondo, instead of being like,
you think this is a game?
You think this is a game? Instead of telling people that horror movies lead to heroin, Mondo is like, yeah, I was on the streets and then I clawed my way back and bought this camp just so we could fuck that ghost up. And you're like, yes, put him in the other movies. Let's go.
If he was like the quote meeting of the goddess character where every time they come back to this camp to chat about it and they solve like how to figure it out, like would love. Yeah.
Would love.
Happy to have that. Happy to have this character return.
But we then cut to Finney goes back to the cabin where he talks to Ernesto. And Ernie is like, hey, did you actually talk to my brother down there? And he's like, yeah. And he said that your dad never came back from Vietnam because he wouldn't leave his men behind and that Robin wouldn't leave me behind either. And he's like, do you think he's still here? And he's like, hell yeah. And we're avenging him tonight. Like,
yeah.
These scenes are all like, they get you pumped where you're just like, that's right. We're going to fucking kill that fucking masked motherfucker.
It's almost like the Evil Dies Tonight scene in the like more recent Halloween movies.
But more effective.
Yeah, I was going to say like those really do a good job of building it up. And then there's somewhat of a letdown afterwards because it does such a good job of building it up.
Right.
And I think this one is like a really good escalation before a really good sort of resolution.
Right. Because Gwen is sleeping.
Yeah.
She dreams of the paper boy every day. It's paper boy, but it's her mom. It's her mom discovering the grabber's first victim in Denver. And because her mom knows who he is and knows that he killed the other boys and is putting two and two together, this is where the grabber snatches her mom and then snatches Gwen in the dream.
Yeah.
And then reveals that he killed her mom and made it look like a suicide.
Yeah. I mean, he literally, as the mom is scoping out the house and sees into the basement where the kid is lying on a mattress. Like anyone could have walked up in that side window and seen that, but it's Gwen's mom, Holly. And so he does the balloon trick, grabs her, throws her in the back of the van, and then drives her home and hangs her in the garage, I think.
Yeah.
So he like stages a suicide. He doesn't kill her like he normally does because he doesn't want it to be tied to him.
Right.
And it was honestly, it's really smart on his part because it gets rid of a loose end, but does not tie to him.
Right, exactly. And this is where he also, in that van, tells her, like, hell's different than you think, and it's just the bad parts of me that are tied to these crimes or whatever.
Yeah.
So, good luck.
And that's what I thought might be setting up that, like, they've got to go to each one of these, like, clusters and fight the bad sin in him, right? That he sort of sets up.
Yes. Here for it 100%.
Yeah, love it.
But he takes her to the grabber house, and she takes the same escape route that Finn took, but she's being, like, cut in her sleep. She runs out into the cold, which puts her out onto the lake at Lake Alpine because, of course, dream logic.
Yeah.
And Mondo is trying to blow a hole without other people. He's so amped. He started already.
Yeah, which is him actually in the real world, right?
Right.
And this is where it sets up that, like, okay, Gwen is asleep, but she can see things that are happening in the real world right now, and she can see the grabber who is trying to kill Mondo on the ice because he, like, slides up behind him and, like, starts hitting the ice at the same time as Mondo.
Right.
And it starts cracking the ice, but underneath Mondo.
Right. Now, also, because of its dream logic, the phone booth is now out on the ice.
Yeah.
She's trapped in the phone booth.
Yo, when she's punching, trying to get out so she can get to
Yes.
Mondo or yell to Mondo, and it's like her knuckles get all bloody and stuff, I was like, God, Gwen's a badass. Like, she is
Gwen
a
is a
psychic,
badass.
but she's not like this fragile little girl. Like,
No.
she is a badass. I thought that was cool as shit.
And she's so fun to follow. She's a great Nancy, like 100%.
I think so too, yeah.
Where you love it. But this is where he tries to strangle her with the phone. She's also bleeding heavily because she has been hurt.
I mean, when they were in the basement in the dream logic and he hits her in the arm with an axe, it like cuts her arm like pretty deep.
Yeah.
And they do see that when they're like watching over as she sleeps. So they like tourniquet that. And so you see like what it would look like under a tourniquet, but not with the tourniquet on it.
Right, right.
It's really interesting the way they did that. But yeah, it's clear that like she is fighting in her dreams or more or less. Or
right.
because she's like sort of locked in this box and he has broken out one of the windows and is like strangling her, there's not a whole lot she can do because she's more confined than he is. So he's really just like choking her.
That's when she's like spinning in the air,
Yes,
spraying
dude.
blood all over the cabin.
It was nuts and scary and like, yeah.
But this is where they're like, fight back. And this is where she's like, oh, right, this is my dream. Therefore, I'm 11 from Stranger Things and I can like blow up this phone booth.
Yeah.
And I can leave, wake up, I can do anything. She wakes up, tells everyone they have to go find Mondo. They get to him. He miraculously is not dead, but he did find the first boy, Felix.
Yeah.
So now that they know the boys are out there, now they're planning. They got to figure out how to get the other two boys, but who should show up but the dad with the snowplow for a repiping exposition scene we did not need.
Yeah. But this is that scene we were talking about earlier. He shows up and he's like, get in the van or whatever. I mean, get in the plow.
Yeah, I'm getting you out of here.
And they're like, no, we're not leaving.
We're not leaving, but he's smoking weed.
Yeah. And mom didn't kill herself.
And mom didn't kill herself.
Right. There's a lot going on, Dad. Do you need some cocoa? Let's take a minute.
Right. Well, and I love that the dad immediately believes her.
Yeah.
Like, immediately, which maybe he's learned from last time. I don't know.
I mean, I do think the first movie was a pretty eye-opening experience for the dad, who was largely seen as not like a good character and kind of an alcoholic.
Yeah.
But we do see him on a much better path and he's like really trying. So like, I do think he is like open to what's happening at least, you know?
Yeah. But we do go out on the ice. Now everyone's looking for the bodies. They pull one of them up and they're in like drums, like oil drums.
Yeah.
And as they're pulling the one up, they haven't seen the other two. And so Gwen falls asleep and they're like, this is not an accident. She went to sleep on purpose, but now we got to fight the dream realm essentially.
Yeah. But it's night again and she's like falling
Right.
asleep on the ice carriage that Mustang is like driving around.
Right.
This is why I was like, this is really Adam Ponape vibes, like on an ice
Yeah,
sled.
yeah,
Come
yeah.
on. I love it. But this is when we start to hear the shh, 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 shh. And then the grabber just like ice skates out of the darkness.
Yep.
It's very cool.
But Gwen is under the ice because she can in her dream.
Yeah.
And she pushes the boys closer to the ice so that they can break up through the ice and they can find them. And in fighting the grabber, she essentially enlists those boys
Yeah.
to help her take the grabber down, which is great.
Well, and because the grabber is like fucking up the people who can't see him. And
Right.
while she's like helping and freeing the boys, the three boys that are under the ice. So like she's busy doing that. And the grabber is like beating up Barbie and Ken, possibly killing Barbie and Ken because this is where they get hit with the axe. And then like choking Finn. And Finn is like fighting back.
Yeah.
Even though we can't see him. It's like Finn is like, just like, okay, so if he's grabbing me here, his body's here. So he's got to like fight it.
Right.
It was very funny to me that he's just like using the force
Yes.
to fight the grabber. But eventually he does like kick the grabber off of him. And that's when the three kids that Gwen has been busy freeing start joining
Right.
and helping and like holding the grabber down or grabbing a leg or whatever.
Right. And while that's happening, their dad jumps into the ice to pull one of the drums out.
Yes.
So they now have basically pulled the 2 kids out that they hadn't found because they found that first one. And they hold the grabber in place while she basically chops his leg off, and they basically chop him to death with an axe and then let him sink down into the icy river where he freezes.
I did love that Finn comes over, and even though you can't see him,
right?
Because when we've got Finn's perspective, I guess,
right,
we don't see the grabber, right? Because Finn can't see it, but he like grabs the leg and then moves up to the head, grabs the head and says, "Hell isn't fire, it's ice," and then just smashes his head over and over into the ice. It's so awesome. It's brutal, and it's what is deserved. I loved it.
100%. And I forgot to bring up that while the grabber is skating towards them, he just rips off the bottom of his mask, revealing just like skeleton and teeth. It's fucking terrifying.
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure his face looks any worse after being smashed into the ice than it did like right after he took his mask off while he was still like, 100% for this battle,
Yeah. Well, and also while this is happening, he has Ernesto take Gwen away, so her body is not accessible. But she then wakes up, kisses Ernesto because they have finally killed the grabber, or so they think, until they unearth him from that frozen lake with a girl with telepathy or something.
Right?
Right? And we cut to what I assume is probably the next day or a few days later. And Mondo is calling one of the boys' parents.
Yeah.
And is like, I know it's been a while, and I'm so sorry to tell you, but we did finally find your boy. And it's been like 20 years, basically.
Yeah. But I mean, listen, I know that they've been waiting for that phone call since they lost their son. Like, that is just something people really want, is to know what happened and to have the body and like put it where the family wants it. And like, I love that is the goal of the movie, more or less.
Right.
And that comes to fruition throughout the course of the movie. I loved it.
Right.
And we don't get the other 2 phone calls, but
we didn't need
we
them.
assume
We assume
all 3 boys get taken to where they need to be.
Right. Especially because Gwen answers the payphone, and it's her mom. And her mom's like, hey, I don't have much time, but I'm where I'm supposed to be. And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
The boys are here. Robin says hi. Miss you. See you in the sequel, basically.
It's so sad, though, because like anyone who's lost somebody would love to have a 30-second conversation with them like this. And it is very like, I can't be with you. I'm in a good place. I love you.
Right.
It's very sweet. It's like what you would want to hear in those moments. And she's just doing a great job, like emoting so hard. Like the girl who plays Gwen is amazing. I do kind of think everyone does a good job in the movie. I think she does a great job.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I appreciate, and I'm glad that they did not use this as a chance for a stinger for her to talk to her mom and then to have the grabber be like, just kidding, it's me.
Yeah, I like that too. I'm glad it was just an honest and genuine, lovely conversation between her and her mom. Probably the last conversation, at least unless the mom has a tie to the continuing of the series, which she might, but I doubt.
Right. But yeah, I really liked this.
And that's the movie. So having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, what did you think about Black Phone 2?
I liked it, and give me more of them. And I don't care if people disagree.
Did people not like this? Like, that would surprise me, because I thought this was a really good, faithful sequel that does a good job of like building on the lore and is as good, if not better, than the first one.
It got mixed reviews. Not everyone liked the grabber coming back from hell. But again, I think they do it in a way that's consistent with the first movie.
Me too.
I really enjoyed this. I was prepared to not like this or to have grievances. I had listened to a couple other reviews about it for people who maybe weren't as on board.
Fair, yeah.
But I will say, even the people who weren't as on board, everyone kind of agrees that this is at least fun.
I agree. But I also I love true crime, and true crime adjacent horror is fun for me. So if we're going to over the course of this movie solve a real or fictitious murder or whatever, those are typically fun because they feel almost detective-y in nature.
Yes.
So I love that nature of both, honestly, Black Phone 1 and 2.
Well, and, because that was the thing that had me bought in for 2/3 of Long Legs and then didn't love the third act or whatever. But this feels a lot more earned and pays off in a way that I actually really appreciate. I am here for this brother and sister duo solving a bunch of cold cases. And Ernesto. Bring Ernesto along too.
Yeah, if it was the Hardy Boys, but it's a brother and sister, and it was just them solving, not mysteries in this case, but murders that this guy specifically did, would love. Would also love if they build out other, so these two are tied to that murderer.
Right.
But there are a bunch of active serial killers throughout America, especially at this time. Like, he's not the only serial killer to have ever murdered in America. So, like, there are other people who are tied to those serial killers that could possibly do this too. So, like, it would be a cool expanding of the whole effing universe.
Here's how I would expand that universe if you're going to do it that way. We need at least one more movie of them being attached to the grabber and solving another of the grabber's murders. But what we get in that movie also is them interacting with somebody else who talks to someone somehow, and they think they're also tied to the grabber, but it turns out that those bodies are a different serial killer.
That'd be cool.
At the end. And so at the end of the movie, we have solved for the grabber, but then there's like 2 bodies or whatever that's somebody else. And then we get an offshoot Hobbs and Shaw style movie with those people while the grabber storyline continues.
Love it.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, it sounds like we're building a whole, like, extended Conjuring universe, but for Ethan Hawke.
I will write one.
And Ethan Hawke, like, if you don't hire us to do it, just please do it, you know?
Right. Yeah. I just want to watch them.
Yeah,
I'd be happy to
yeah.
write one, but I also just want to watch them.
Yeah, would love to work on them in any capacity for sure. Yeah, whatever. Like, that'd be great. But
yes,
I would rather them just exist than me have to be a part of it. Because I actually really do love Black Phone 1 and 2. I think they're good movies.
Yes.
I don't love watching them because the experience of that is frightening for me. But I do think they are well done movies that have a message and a point of view, and they're making good points, and it's like...
And they're shot well.
Fun. They're good to watch, yeah.
They're made well, yes.
To me, this one feels a lot like the slashers of the early 80s, but a serious look at them, you know?
I liked it, yeah.
And I dug it, yeah. But Paige.
Yes.
Do you have any fun facts for us?
I do.
Well, here it is with your fun facts. Black Phone, fun facts.
We already covered that Miguel Mora is back and plays both Robin and Ernesto. Love that. Now, as I mentioned, the original was based on a Joe Hill short story. This one did not have a short story to be based on. However, Joe Hill still provided the initial pitch to the filmmakers. So the screenwriter, C. Robert Cargill, recalled, he just said, quote, "A phone rings, Finney answers. It's the grabber calling from hell." Love that. I'm in.
Yeah.
Now, in one scene, it's the scene right before Finn goes out to smoke weed. He's watching a music video for the song Subways of Your Mind by the band FEX. And for years, this song was famous for being, quote, the most mysterious song on the internet. A recording of it circulated on the internet for years with no attributed artist, which lasted several years only to be resolved in late 2024.
By Shazam.
But it's only because they figured out who it is that they could include it in this film. So that's kind of fun.
That is kind of cool.
Now, there are no digital filters for the dream sequences, I found out. They used Super 8 and Super 16 for those moments that featured Super 8 for the scenes without sound, Super 16 for the moments that featured sound, because you would need 16 for the sound.
Yeah, you would need that bit. Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool, though. That's very cool. They shot it on that. I like that.
Yeah. But then they used it for the dialogue, and then they cut them in half to be 8mm. So the moments shot on Super 16 were framed with half the image and then expanded for even more of that grainy look, old school practical classic filmmaking. So that's why it kind of wobbles on the side a little bit, but I think it's very effective. It looks great.
I mean, that is an effect you would typically do digitally, right?
Right.
So it's cool that they found a way to do it analog.
Yeah.
And they pulled it off. And it does look like it was shot on film. So, like, well done.
It does. Yeah. So Scott Derrickson initially wasn't going to make a sequel until he received a phone call from Joe Hill.
And they were like, God, we made a lot of money on Black Phone. You got to make another one.
And gave him the pitch basically for Hell. And that sparked Derrickson's interest and opened up supernatural possibilities for a sequel. Because again, the first one, you could read it either way. And this one definitively puts it as supernatural. And that phone call changed his mind to make the sequel. I'm glad he did. I actually really liked this.
Me too. And I think he does a good job. Like, I kind of want him to be involved in all of them.
Yeah. The grabber quotes Dante's Inferno from Canto 3. The words engraved on the entrance to hell, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter here." But also, Dante's depiction of the ninth and final circle of hell is a frozen lake. So when they repeatedly tell each other, hell isn't flames, it's ice, that is potentially a reference to Dante.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's cool.
Scott Derrickson's son, Dashiell Derrickson, appears in an uncredited cameo in a music video on television as Gunther, the same character the younger Derrickson played in the Dream Kill short film for VHS 85, which we have not done. But in the short film, which is set in a shared continuity with the Black Phone films, it's revealed that Gunther is first cousins with Gwen and Finney and also has similar psychic powers to Gwen. So it is potentially familial.
Yeah, okay.
And Gunther's psychic power is that he dreams of murders before they happen, and his dreams record onto VHS tapes. Bring Gunther in for the next one. Like, what? Didn't know that until like today. And
that sounds very The Ring.
Yes.
That's cool.
It's cool as shit.
I mean, not the whole You Have 7 Days, but like the fact that it gets recorded to a VHS tape.
I love it.
That's cool.
This was set in the U.S. Obviously, it's set in Colorado, but it was filmed in Toronto.
That makes sense because those snow scenes outside look like they're outside in the snow, you know?
Yes. Gwen's quote of scripture to the grabber. The first is from Hosea 13:14, and the second is 1 Corinthians 15:55. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory?
That's a cool opening, too, because it's just Gwen on the ice, and it's in that Super 8 film that they're shooting it, and she like recites it. I was like, this is kind of badass. I'm here for it.
Right. Ethan Hawke rarely wears the same version of the grabber mask in consecutive scenes. This is to emphasize his unpredictable behavior. There's like 5 different grabber masks. The mask is also designed with interchangeable top and bottom pieces, allowing the expression to change throughout the film and for him to rip off the bottom, whatever.
Yeah.
The number 42 seems to be very significant in the film. Finn and Gwen's father drives a truck labeled with a 42. The camp director reads from Psalm 42 and turns to the page at verses 9 and 10. I say to God, my rock, why have you forgotten me? Why must I go about mourning, oppressed by the enemy? My bones suffer mortal agony as my foes taunt me, saying to me all day long, where is your God? Which is pretty applicable to the movie.
Yeah.
In the climactic showdown, the grabber reminds Gwen that, quote, God's not here, you're all alone. And she replies, but I brought backup. And she has his victims to kind of, end him in multiple ways.
Yeah.
The black rotary phone in the basement has a mismatched cord and handset color, so it basically indicating it was assembled from multiple vintage units to look that way.
It does look good.
Yes. The Ghost Boys all wear outfits reminiscent of their characters' era, reflecting the decade they died. This is the same in the first one and this one.
Yeah.
I'll end on this one for fun. The film takes place in December of 1982. The Duran Duran concert that Ernie gets tickets to is on Sunday at 7 p.m., February 13th, 1983. So they did make that Duran Duran concert.
Nice.
And those are your fun facts.
I love that. Well, think of those fun facts page. Let's talk a little bit about box office. So what do you think the production budget was for The Black Phone 2 this year? Because it came out just a few weeks ago.
I assume they got a lot more money to make this than they did to make the last one. And so I would guess that this cost at least $40 million.
Yeah, so Paige, the last one was $18 million, and this one was more, but not quite $40 million. It was $30 million.
This still looks great for $30 million.
Are you kidding me? I think it looks awesome. Yeah, it's really, really well done.
Especially with the analog work they did. Analog work is actually very expensive. It's much more expensive than digital, but it looks great. And so that's why people do it. But for $30 million with the locations they had and using analog, and it's a period piece in the 80s, I think this looks great.
Yeah, I love that they used analog a lot. It's way better than having a video editor type a prompt into an AI that does it for them, because it actually looks like what it would look like and not what the computer thinks it would look like.
Right.
Anyway, but this movie came out October 17th of this year. It was the number 1 movie the weekend it came out. It beat the number 2 movie, Tron. Is it Ares?
I think it's Ares.
Tron Ares or Eras maybe. It was number 2 that weekend, and it was in its second weekend. The number 3 movie was Good Fortune. Number 4 was One Battle After Another. Number 5 was Roofman. Paige, what do you think Black Phone 2 made in its opening weekend?
Ooh, opening weekend, I bet this made about $19 million.
Paige, it did better.
That's great.
It did $27.3 million.
Good for them. Make more of them.
I know, right? So that's not quite, but close to the budget, which is a great opening weekend.
Great.
The second weekend it was out, it dropped to third, and it was beat by the number 1 movie that weekend was Chainsaw Man. Number 2 was Regretting You, which both of those movies came out that weekend, the weekend of October 24th, and that pushed Black Phone to third.
I believe the guy who plays Finn is also in Regretting You. Let me make sure I'm thinking of the same movie. Yes.
Is he?
Yep. 2 top 5 movies in the same week.
Yeah, he had a good week.
Yes.
But Paige, the next week, the week of October 31st of this year, Black Phone was number 1. This is its 3rd week. It beat Regretting You, that was number 2, and number 3 being Chainsaw Man. So both movies premiered the week before, pushing it to 3rd, and then Black Phone had better staying power, and no new movies came out. So it jumped back up to number 1 in its 3rd week.
Hell yeah.
And then fell to 3rd in its 4th week, was 5th in its 5th week, and then 9th in its 6th. And there might be some theaters right now, but it's pretty much out of most theaters right now. And I'll just tell you, Paige, this one made $76.7 million domestically so far. There might be a little bit more, but it'll probably be somewhere around there.
That's still a great return.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it brought in 54.4 internationally. So it's a total of $131.1 million today because there's no inflation because it's just come out. Now, I do want to say I did some research into how much they promoted the first movie versus this one. And the production budget for the last movie was $18 million. That's the first one that they did, right? Mm-hmm. And that one went on to bring in a little bit more than this one is projected to bring in. That one brought in $161.4 million in the box office. But they spent $90 million promoting that one, and they haven't spent that much promoting this one. They spent somewhere in the ballpark of $30 to $40 million promoting this one. So if you take out the difference in the marketing budgets, this one might be more or at least as profitable as the first one. And I'm saying all of this because I really want them and hope they make a 3rd.
I want
because
more.
They are printing money. Please do like
Please make
the James Wan
one.
whole, like, let's build a whole universe around this shit.
Do it.
Anyway, that's your box office. So Paige, do you want to hit us with that scary scale?
Sure. Our scary scale is a scale of how scary we found the movie when we watched it today, with 1 being Ghostbusters and 10 being Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Todd.
I'm giving this one a 4. And it's not just because of that one jump scare you pointed out. There's a lot of other really creepy moments that scared me, largely around the dreams that Gwen's having and us seeing the kids and how they died. Like when the window comes down and the face falls on the ground and you see the mouth moving.
Loved it.
Like, ugh. There's a lot of stuff like that too that's just like really quick, gross imagery that like really messed with me. And you heard me talking about the movie. I think the movie's great. It's just like hard specifically for me to watch because I don't handle that stuff well. But it doesn't mean it's not a good movie, guys.
Right.
It's just scary.
It's just scary.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm going to give this a 2. That one jump scare did get me. It's a good one.
It's a good one.
It's a good one.
Yeah. You kind of do know it's coming, but it really made me jump.
Yeah. I'm going to give this a 2, and that is your scary scale.
Yeah. So this week, Paige, you made us watch The Black Phone 2. What are we going to watch next week?
So, Todd, I, as a joke, pitched a movie that we should do as a Christmas movie because a famous horror director gets stabbed through the hand while dressed as Santa. Or rather, stabs someone through the hand while dressed as Santa, and that makes this a Christmas movie. And if you're still on board, I'd love to do Hot Fuzz.
Paige, I'm always on board to do Hot Fuzz. It is kind of in a horror trilogy of sorts, and
sure,
people die. I think they have a bigger body count in that movie than this movie, so I think it's definitely in the horror comedy lane, which I think their first one, Shaun of the Dead, also is.
I think it's technically a thriller, but I do love it that you're right, a lot of people die. There is a lot of gore. It's a lot of fun. But recently, I felt like one of our other recent movies that we did was very Hot Fuzz-like, and it just made me, hearken for Hot Fuzz.
Yeah. And listen, thriller and horror they overlap a lot. Like, there are zombies in the thriller horror music video. Yeah, I think it's fair.
Yeah. So your next movie as a Christmas present to me is Hot Fuzz.
Well, Paige, thank you so much for not making me get you a Christmas gift this year, I guess. Loophole! And so your homework for next week, guys, is to watch Hot Fuzz and then report back for that episode.
Hey, do you have any reviews for us, Todd?
I do. This week, I'm going to read one of our most recent Spotify comments. So I'm going to read this comment from our most recent Sleepy Hollow episode. And this one's from Rachel. And they say, my high school band director was obsessed with Danny Elfman movie scores. And of course he was, because who doesn't love Danny Elfman? The dude's great. We played Sleepy Hollow as one of several Elfman songs in a themed show of his music. We also did Batman, Mars Attacks, Nightmare, and Flubber. I love this. I was a freshman with a marimba solo during the song. It was the thrill of my young life. Sorry, I am just like reliving my own like drumline memories, and they're very similar, except my band director was obsessed with Holt's planets. So we did like Mars and those, like Jupiter and that kind of stuff. They continue. Also, that song was done at 160 BPM. I was never more grateful to be in the pit and not hauling ass around the football field. 100%. Marching at 160 beats per minute is insane. Anyway, Rachel, so glad I'm not the only band nerd that listens to this podcast. So thank you so much for that comment. And if you want to have me read your Spotify comment or 5-star Apple review, leave us one of those things and I'll do just that. So guys, if you like this show but want to hear Paige and I talk about romantic comedies or just regular romantic movies, check out our other podcast. Some might call it a sister podcast called Romancing the Pod, where we do just that weekly. It's a lot like this show, but for romance and romantic comedies, because Paige doesn't like them. So we make her watch them, just like you guys make me watch horror over here. But if you want to follow me, I am at Todd J. Awesome on all the social media. Paige is at Rampage Wesley on Instagram?
Yes, and TikTok.
And just Paige Wesley on Twitter, because you got that before some CEO lady, and she wanted it, but you wouldn't give it back, and I respect you for that.
Refuse.
Also, Paige
Suck it, other Paige Wesley.
Paige is also on another podcast. It's great. You should check it out. It's called Cult Podcast with Armando Torres, who is a wonderful person. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027. So send us some stuff. And if you want to support this show, go to Patreon at patreon.com/horrorvirgin, where there are a lot of great levels and a lot of great things. We do the Patreon shout outs at the beginning of every episode. We do listener requests, stuff like that, bonus episodes. So you'll be getting all of that content, plus episodes a day early with no ads, and who doesn't love that? So sign up for the Patreon and get a lot of great stuff.
And that's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
And I'm your horror virgin, Todd.
Keep it ooky spooky.
Yeah, have an amazing week, guys. I really hope we get 20 more of these movies, nerds.